Hi everybody. This is Adriel William. Today is actually a very good Sunday because my plan was to do a Q&A session regarding Caapid, and from uh, people who know Joseph from Noteful, and I personally can tell you when I was giving my TOEFL exam back in 2019, I used to watch your videos. So the 27 years old me is really happy today to have you on this Q&A session. I'm personally grateful, and I presume most of the people up here who are joining would have the same feeling. But I've been, just to briefly tell people, Joseph from Note4 have been doing this more than 2 decades approximately. I'll let him go into the detail, but he's been generous enough to talk to me. We've been discussing areas where we can help more Caapid students, foreign trained dentists, because 90% of the students are stuck with TOEFL. For me personally, it's a big bottleneck. I want to help them with the application, I want to help them with other parts. But if they are not able to achieve a good score in TOEFL, it's really hard for me to get anything done. So I requested Joseph to take us some time, and if he's willing to help us and guide some students, and I'll leave the mic to you because I tend to speak more than I should. So Joseph, it's up to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Adriel. So it's a pleasure. And I guess just to begin, I want to say that you, Dr. Adriel, and everyone here is, why I've been doing this for almost 20 years, because, it's pretty amazing that every single one of you are academic professionals in your own careers, in your own countries. And now you've actually taken on the challenge of creating that profession in another culture, in another language. So I've learned that you're a very special community because of your dedication and your discipline and your ambition. So it's wonderful to be able to connect with someone who was kind of like a former learner. And so that's why I want to continue to help, because every one of you, when you're held back by the TOEFL, it can be devastating, because I've seen over 20 years the experience of students miss application deadlines. I've seen students start to change their own identity because they go from thinking that they're exceptional, which they are, but then sometimes repeated failures from not knowing the right way to study or the right techniques makes you doubt yourself. So my goal here is just to say that all of you can succeed when it comes to the TOEFL, having worked with, you know, uh, physical therapists, pharmacists, dentists. I know all of you want 100 plus on your TOEFL overall to succeed. And so what I'm going to share is the major things that I think are important for you to
हाँ बैठो
improve. Maybe we
गरम
have
किए
a
हो
speaker too.
I'm trying to mute some people. Kindly, guys,
No
keep.
problem.
Okay, this is a technological glitch. It happens. But sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And it's good. We have energy. So the number one thing that I would say to everybody is you s- pretty much everyone here is speaking in English, knows English. And so sometimes I want to be careful that we might be a little overconfident. I just want you to all take the TOEFL seriously. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you almost take it on as a part-time job. So I'll give you some numbers that I hope you write down to set yourself up for success. So the first one is that before your very first TOEFL, I recommend that you study at least 40 hours. And this way you can have the best chance of succeeding on your first TOEFL if your basic academic English is strong enough. And we can make it really simple. 10 hours for the reading, 10 hours for the listening, 10 hours for the speaking, 10 hours for the writing. And for those of you that are a little unfamiliar with the TOEFL, I'm going to just put our site in the chat. So you can just click on that. There are plenty of YouTube videos so that you can get the basics behind it. The next thing I would say is, for those of you who've taken the TOEFL before and you find that you're going to find your score, and your score might be a 62, it might be a 93, and you know that you need 100 plus. So I would say the best math, which can sometimes be surprising for students, is that You want to study approximately 100 hours for every 4 points that you want to improve. And the reason is because you want to think that the exam is used for students like you, someone who's a PhD, someone who's a pharmacist or physical therapist, a teacher. So it's a very intense, demanding exam. And even native speakers who are not prepared can't get perfects. So that mindset is going to prevent what I've seen as what I hope doesn't happen to any of you, which is you schedule an exam, you don't track your study hours. You study really hard the week or two before, just kind of searching online, getting different resources. You take it, you don't pass, you don't feel good, and then you start looking for tips and tricks instead of kind of building the fundamental skills. So I recommend 100 hours for every 4 points you want to improve, at least 100 hours of study between every TOEFL for your success. And the final thing that I would say is ideally, you want to be studying 12 hours per week on your TOEFL. And I know that sounds like a lot, but that's how you can take those 40 hours, those 100 hours. So I want you to think to yourself that the TOEFL is a major part of your application. So you want to make time for it. And 40 hours before your first TOEFL, you can knock it out. And if not, just feel comfortable. Because what I notice is in 20 years, if we study less than 12 hours per week, we might not be reviewing and developing skills enough in order to improve. And if you can go from 12 to maybe 24 hours a week, you can really you can get rid of this exam and not have it hold you back. And the final thing I want to say is don't feel discouraged. Start studying right now, seriously, today. And the reason why I say that is because there have been students that unfortunately waited to the last minute. The exam was challenging. They couldn't bring up their scores and they had to wait for another application cycle, which is great. Sometimes that happens. But to prevent that, make sure you take it seriously, you follow these numbers, and you know they're there to help you succeed. And go ahead and put any questions you have in the chat. I'm here to help you 100%, give you confidence. And Anum, you're here. Scratch paper ready. Yeah, he's in a class. So happy we have that connection. Yeah, because it's a wonderful community. I mean, all of you are studying very hard, and it's wonderful to have some of you who are already comfortable with me. And number 79, you ask about the new TOEFL. So great question. So in January 21st, 2026, the TOEFL is changing. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I've seen every major TOEFL change. And so what I would say to you is if you study with us, don't worry. Uh, I'll always, I'm always creating the material for the things that are happening. So I'll be one of the first to take the new exam. We already have, the ETS who makes the TOEFL has already released example questions. We already know the upcoming structure. They're trying to copy and match. For those of you who may not be familiar, a different version called the TOEFL Essentials. They're kind of copying the Duolingo test. They're bringing in a little bit of the IELTS. So because I have so much experience, like none of these questions surprise me. They're all just different versions of testing the same skills. So if you go to our site, I'm going to give you a link in the chat where I had a YouTube live where I focused on the reading to encourage everybody. Don't wait for the new TOEFL study right now because it is changing and some things are going to disappear. However, there will be using the same questions. So, for example, reading, listening, speaking, writing, the way you're studying today for the current TOEFL, they're going to use those same questions on the new TOEFL. So you're preparing for the new TOEFL as well. But what they're doing is they're going to cut some of those questions out and replace them with new ones. So every single section of the current TOEFL, part of it is going to be kept in the new TOEFL. So you're going to have to study that anyway. And the new questions, if you look at the YouTube live that I just sent you the link of, you'll see that we're preparing students for those questions right now. So when we give you exercises, we're making it so that you're prepared for the new one. So for the new TOEFL, you just have to think, I do think it's easier. I think that's really good news. However, what you're going to realize is I think it's going to be easier for students to get 80s to 90s. I think it's going to be as hard for students to get hundreds, 110s, 120s because it's just they make it very challenging. So I would say to you, treat it like, okay, something good is coming. It might be faster and smoother. Doesn't change anything. Study full power. And if you study with us, you can just feel rested that you're going to get taken care of. And just to repeat, the new TOEFL will be January 21st, 2026. And so, any other questions on the TOEFL? And then I think, Dr. Adriel, you can share with me, we've created a wonderful kind of connection, and I can share that we've created kind of a partnership so that we're going to be offering a way for you to join our current classes of what's called our gold course at a reduced price so that those of you who want help and you feel like, yeah, I want to try some of these classes, we can start working together tomorrow, right? Because we have a class at 8 p.m. New York time. And I'll just share the link in the chat for everyone to kind of check it out. And then just to release for our partnership, 10% off with the coupon code that we created with Dr. Adriel. But this is a way where in our partnership, I can really track and make sure that you're progressing towards your 100 plus. Everything in that course is designed for you, the way the study, all the material. And so I hope that helps and supports everybody. Anybody have any questions or Dr. Adriel, you feel I missed something, I'd be happy to answer.
So just last question, somebody said, what's the duration of your course? Like, imagine if I'm somebody who is either new or haven't done good, I've been getting 80s or below like what I wanted. How much time does it take with your coursework where you feel like, okay, you need to spend like 1 month, 2 months with the course to get where you will be good enough to score above 105 or something?
Yeah, this is such a good question. So let me see if I could share my screen. Would that be all right?
Sure thing, sir.
All right. So I would say it's 100 hours for every 4 points you want to improve.
Mhm.
So let's say that you got an 85 and you want 105. So that's a 20-point improvement. So that would be about 500 hours. So let's say you're studying 20 hours per week, 500, that might be something like, what is it? 25 weeks. So that might be 6 months, 6 to 7 months. And I always want to be very careful because I know that when I say these numbers, it doesn't often feel good for students because you're like, I was thinking, 2 weeks. Now you're telling me 6 to 7 months. But I just want to say it's almost like as dentists, you want to really think of this as a patient, like you're helping the patient improve the conditions of their teeth. You're going to have a consultation. You're going to work with them. If it's something serious, you're going to check on them over time. So the TOEFL is a demanding exam. But just as I said before, if you've never taken it before, feel confident. Study your 40 hours before your exam. And if you have all the background skills, you'll pass it. But if not, the duration will be according to how many hours you're studying a week and the gap between your current score and your future score. And in the course, we do have practice for you to evaluate yourself so you can have a sense of that. So in sharing, when you go to our site, Noteful, and you click on TOEFL prep, right? The link that I showed you for the gold course, I just want to show you inside. And so this is the inside of the course. And we've done our best to make sure it's easy for you. So Dr. Adriel, you said, what if you have an 85? What do you do? I would say let yourself be a student. Don't rush. Just go through the course as explained. So you see here we describe how to study to be effective, the essential basics of the exam, critical habits, building your vocabulary, building your grammar, and then the training sets. So this I'm very excited to present to everybody here because I just want to make your success as easy as clicking play. So we've taken our best classes that teach the reading, listening, speaking, and writing, every question, every strategy, every technique with real practice. And you'll see here that we have it divided. So you just every week, you just study and you just go through the videos and you take your notes, you improve your skills. And when you move on, you see we have over 100 hours of training. So just you studying the course, dedicating your hours, following the classes, you'll see your improvement. And do you think that answers the question well?
I think it does for me. And some people might, who are very new to this, might find like, okay, there's certain time and you're giving number. They need to understand Joseph have been doing this for years, like he said, more than 20 years. What happens, there are he people who have been doing and teaching programs for so long, they came up with number because they've been seeing patterns. They see students who need improvement, and what is an average number of hours that they need. Obviously there will be some anomalies, people who can do very well in very small amount of time, but the number or stats that he's giving is coming from his experience, that if you spend this amount of hour every week, you will eventually improve this much score. And this kind of gives you, like, if somebody's at 80 and wants to go 105, it tells them, okay, this is the amount of time I need to spend, as compared to somebody who has 98 and just want 103. So at least it, because it's very chaotic, it's very hard to figure out how much should I study, how much months I need. At least he has a plan, game plan. It comes from real time experience of teaching. Like, if you're focusing on improving your score, at least have this much time. And somebody might be not doing anything and they can spend more hours studying TOEFL every day, as opposed to people who are part-time worker or who are mothers who are working and they don't have like 5 hours every day. So it's just, you have to calculate. But I hope this answers the question for most of you people. If do you guys have any questions you want to ask?
And let me share my screen again. What you said was really, I really appreciate it, just because I had a question from the 80 to the 100. And so I would say for the average student, studying 12 hours a week, every week for 3 months, for the average student scoring 80s to 90s, you're going to be in a good position to pass. And remember, some of you will learn faster than others because of your background or experience. So just to help you really quick, so I would say 12 hours per week, right? Studying your TOEFL, nice even, 4 hours per section. You register for the course, you're just studying, you have your notebooks. And let's say you got an 80 and you want your 100 plus, right? This is a guide. Be confident in yourself, study with focus, follow everything you hear in the course, follow it 100%, and you can be more efficient. But this is like an average, right? Like just like your patients, you know, the average, but you know, some people will be outliers. They'll heal faster or they'll heal slower. So if you want to improve from an 80 to, let's say, 105, just to do that math, you know, 25 points. So 100 hours for every 4 points, right? So 100 hours of study for 4 points. So we do a little math, and you can say that's about 650 hours. Now, I know that's a lot, but if you think about it, this is like going from high school English to college English level. So improving 25 points is you're going to speak differently. Your accent's going to change, your vocabulary is going to change, your clarity is going to change. Like, you will be a different speaker of English. You will move from intermediate to advanced. Your friends will notice. So this is very significant. So those 650 hours, we just do a little bit of math. You know, 650 divided by 12 hours per week. So that's about 54 weeks. So that would be about a year. Now I know when people see that, they kind of get a little bit shocked. But that's why I would say you're special, you're intelligent, believe in yourself. But this tells you I'm here to guide you to success. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to study right now. I'm going to study with focus, and I'm going to do everything I'm told to do so that I can cut this in 6 months. right? But this would be what happens. And I just want to help so many of you because, I get text messages too, and I hear from students like you, and sometimes I will see you study in a big burst before your TOEFL. You do it 2 or 3 times, you get very discouraged, you stop studying, and you have to wait for the next application cycle. But in the next application cycle, 6 months, 1 year, you've been discouraged and you don't study. So you're going to repeat the same thing. So this improvement is inescapable. So just think, starting now seriously, it's worth it for your dream, for your career, for your income. Like for you to think to yourself, I'm going to study so that when I talk to patients, I can be more effective. I can be more persuasive. I can be more clear. So connect it with your job, with your vision. So you feel like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to come to this, I'm going to speak English and deliver my expertise. Let me invest the time so I feel like, okay, I can do it better and be more successful. So let me see here. Yeah. And so Root V, just with the new TOEFL, we kind of talked about in the beginning, but the good thing is we know what the new TOEFL is going to be like, and the material that we have is going to be preparing you for it as well. And these numbers, kind of still stay the same because the exam will still be challenging. So appreciate you letting me have so much time, Dr. Adriel. Hope it's helping.
Sure thing, sure. I hope it makes sense. I know a lot of people would be scared of listening. Oh, it would take me 1 year to score that much higher. But a couple of things you guys need to remember. He was talking from 80 to 105. So and most people I talk around, meet or like talk to, they are around 90s. It might take you a little bit longer. And the other thing you need to remember, Joseph is a specialist. If you go to an endodontist for a root canal, he will be very precise. Like dentists would understand, endodontists are very precise how they make an opening, how they go in. They are very calculated to the micro, like the millimeters and everything. In his case, because he wants that result, he has broken down things to very close precision. Now, if you have that zeal of Rocky and you want to get everything done and you want to spend more hours and your brain can catch up faster and recover, maybe you could do things a little bit faster. But I personally seen, Joseph, one of the things that happens a lot, people pass their board exam, everything, they call me, hey, I need your help. And I'm like, have you given TOEFL? They're like, no, I'll just give it in next week. I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen to you. It's not a medical exam. It's not even an English exam. It's much more of a strategy exam where you need time management, you need certain level of pressure management, how to manage stress. And then people get stuck. And that consistent, one thing I tell people, I would rather do it slow, but would keep my respect, because if I don't do well once, it's going to build upon me. Every day I'm going to look in the mirror, I'm going to feel like a loser. And then I'm going to think, why didn't I spend the 4 weeks more and studied better and then at least be more happier? Because one thing you guys need to understand, when we send out the students, when we send out emails to school and you write, hey, I've done a BDS, I've done a master's, and my TOEFL is 110, your email get highlighted. They zoom into it because you're the kind of student they want. But on the other hand, if you say, I've done a master's, I've done this, but my score is 98, they're thinking like, okay, this person has done so much education, but can't score well in TOEFL. That doesn't add up. Like it's like, so then they are like thinking about you. So by the end of the day, every hour or every small foundational effort that you're doing, that's how you build upon. Like I got 113 in TOEFL watching Noteful's video, but I've given IELTS 3 times before. To be honest, now I realize what you're saying, because a lot of that previous education was helping out. And in case you haven't done that, then you have to pay that due. You have to go through that journey to get to a certain point. And shortcuts might bite you in the back. So it just takes a toll on you. But is there any question anybody wants to ask? I don't want to keep Joseph holding on for very long on a Sunday, but you're more than welcome. And he's generous enough to share a coupon. It's I've shared it. He shared it in the chat. I shared it in the group. It will give you access to discount. If you have any questions, you can always email him. His website is also there. I'm going to share your YouTube channel on the group as well later on, so people can watch your free videos, because what I've learned, they want to hear more of you. They want to see who you are before they actually invest in one of the courses. So I'll try to do that as well. Dr. Pragati, I think there was a question. You want to take that, Joseph?
Sure. So I'm struggling, especially in the listening. I've scored 2 times, same 81, 82. You have our diamond course. Fantastic. Can you advise me specifically for listening? I scored 15 first time and 18 last time. So what I would say, I'll say like 2 things. One, just for our conversation, once I finish, I'm going to stay on a little longer. I'm just very curious to hear you share your expertise too with everybody. So I want to stay and kind of hear you, Dr. Adriel, share how you help people. So I can recommend, because I'm going to recommend our dental students to you as well. And whenever there's one section that you're struggling in, what I would say, Pragati, is you can succeed. And usually it you have to allow yourself to think 60% academic English, 40% TOEFL. So when you're thinking about improving your listening skill in general, you want to make sure that you're exposing yourself in your life to podcasts, right? You're exposing yourself to lectures on YouTube. You're reviewing the transcript. You're building the vocab. The words that you don't catch, you're listening to over and over again. Strategically, for you and everybody, the TOEFL listening section has little lectures that go from anywhere from 3 minutes to 6 minutes of listening. And I teach to listen in units. So just like when you hear me speak or you hear Dr. Adriel answer your questions, you realize that speakers speak in groups of maybe 45 seconds to 1 minute, where we're talking about one topic and then we move to another. So the biggest thing to improve listening skill, besides the vocab, besides what I said before about exposing yourself to podcasts, is listening and catching the topics that occur every 45 seconds. So you have to listen to the same lecture, the same recording over and over to catch that, because the TOEFL is testing your ability to hear that. So usually when you're stuck, it means you're not listening in that way. So you're hearing lots of details and they're getting confused. So it's really easy for you maybe to understand, but to choose the wrong answer. And to help you get your notebook and just say TOEFL listening, I will study 40 hours. So by putting a number and then organizing it, now you can use your intelligence, right? You're an academic professional. Say, okay, how do I level up my English? I'm going to spend this many hours on vocab. I'm going to spend this many hours on podcasts. I'm going to review my TOEFL course with Noteful, this many hours. And then I'm going to expect improvement. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yes, I thank you for taking off burden off my shoulder, because I get so much TOEFL questions, and I'm personally not the best at it. And I keep recommending journalize, oh, what noteful video or what this, and but thank you for being here. Does anybody wants to ask one more or two more TOEFL question before we switch gear to Caapid and the other stuff?
So, Safa, what about reading?
That's a broad
I
question.
would say, yeah, I would say for the reading, the most fundamental thing to improve is actually building your reading comprehension technique. And so we have a 6-step process that when you read, you have to read in a structure. I almost think like any professional has this, and you have to become a professional reader. Like, let's say, just to give you an analogy, when you read one sentence in one paragraph, you should have the ability to understand how that explains the idea of the full paragraph and how it's related to the title, because those are what the TOEFL questions are testing. So if you're stuck in the reading, I would say going back to basics, where we teach it in the course, but it's everything is about the title. The title is discussed into 3 to 7 paragraphs. The topic sentence establishes the idea of the paragraph. The following sentences develop that idea. When you read a sentence, you need to be able to understand the main clause, the main sentence, and the extra pieces of information. That's so important that the TOEFL creates questions to test that. So usually if you struggle with the reading, that foundation is missing. So that's why I feel like for everybody, if you're struggling, I think it's so important to get a course, any course. But if you trust us, get our course so that you can follow a system. So that's what I'd say for Manal and Safa. Absolutely, there are techniques. I promise you we can break you through and make you a reading superstar. But it'll take, building your foundation from the beginning, and that'll take a couple of hours, and we have that training. So that's kind of how I can answer that general question. But stay confident and know there's a way, and it's a very specific, precise way that works.
Thank you. Anybody else want to ask any questions, and then we can switch gears? Anything in the comment? Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Okay. There's one more question. Let's take that one.
BM, I've scored 96. Do you think there is any chance of acceptance? Oh, that's more for you now.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I'm going to give you the answer to this is I've seen people getting accepted at 92. I've seen people getting accepted at 96. It depends on your overall profile. Like, what have you done? And personally, one thing I've seen in Caapid is that the dentist schools do recognize from which country are you coming. So sadly, if you're coming from Pakistan or India, you're coming from a British colony, and most of the Indian candidates, subcontinent candidates, are scoring above 105. So if you're a Hispanic candidate coming from Cuba, they cut you some slack. I have Ukrainian friends who got accepted to way lower. I do have some Pakistani or Indian friends too who got accepted for less, but the chances is very, very minute because you're competing your own self with a higher TOEFL score. So that kind of like changes the ball game. Does that make sense? Is that making sense, Doc? Let me turn on this camera. I'm trying to fix something really quick. But meanwhile, okay. All right, let me turn on the camera. All right, so I'm gonna switch gears, and we can, if there's no more TOEFL score questions, we can talk about the Caapid now. All right, so most of you guys, and thank you for joining. I'm grateful. There's a good number of people, and I'm grateful to Joseph for being here as well. So coming back to Caapid, do you guys have any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to start talking about things that I've observed over time and that I can help you. Does anybody wants to unmute and ask a question?
Good afternoon, Doctor. Would you mind if I ask a question?
Sure thing, Dr. Kapoor. Go ahead.
Before I ask my question, I would like to thank you guys, both of you, Dr. William, yourself, and Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much for this. This kind of an intense and highly informative. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for doing this.
Sure.
The question I wanted to ask you was regarding the Caapid and the TOEFL scores. Now, I was wondering how important, coming from India, how important is the total score and the breakdown of each section? I have heard somewhere that if you are unable to meet the minimum 25 out of 30 criteria for each of those, it might prove a bit difficult. Is that true even if your overall score is about 110 and above?
What I've heard from people that they do look at your speaking and your writing and reading a little bit more, like these section, but there's no like one specific criteria. Because imagine if you're working in the school, you have about 7 to 8, well, now they have 1,700 people applying, right? So Dr. Kapoor, you might have I'm just going to make something. You have a BDS, and then you have a master's in Prost or Endo, or you have 5 years of GP work or 10 years of GP work. Then you came to US, you did a preceptorship, and you work as a dental assistant for 2 years. So they are looking at, okay, this makes sense, this makes sense. And 110 is a good score, or 1.5, 1.7. And maybe in that your listening was a little bit less, is fine. Remember, it's a holistic view. Like you're looking at a person, you're looking at an employee who, or a body, that all the systems, for example, you look at the liver test, everything is fine, and only ALT was a little bit high, but the kidney test, everything seems good. So that person seemed like reasonably a healthy person. In the same way, my problem is when new people come into the process, they try to cherry pick, like they try to focus on one thing. Yes, I do believe there are certain pillars of your house. When you build your house, the number one thing is you need to pass your INBD. You need to have a reasonably good TOEFL. When I say reasonably good TOEFL, in my world where I see things, being above 105 is where things are. Being above 100 is necessary, but being close to 105 or above is better. The higher you are, the better. But along with that, one thing I'll tell you guys, and Joseph, who grew up as an American up here, will agree to me. So recently, I went to 3 different citizenship ceremonies, and I hope most of you guys get to go there too. And one of the things I saw in those ceremonies, the first one, the judge, so when you become a citizen, you go there, the judge speaks to all the immigrants, and then they call and give them a certificate. So the first ceremony I attended, I heard the judge say, well, and every judge has their own speech. But one thing I saw common in all 3 judges, that they were saying, as an immigrant or as a new citizen of US, I would highly encourage you to serve the nation through any non-profit or community work, or serving the military or the army. And I kept hearing that again and again. And while I was sitting, in my head I was thinking, this is the same thing they keep asking in dental schools. And as an immigrant, like, this is one of the things that is put forward to us a lot of time. And then it kind of clicked me that understand the fact that America loves immigrant. America runs on the fuel of immigrants because they bring a certain level of passion and fire. I know comparatively as an immigrant, my ability to work like a crazy man would be higher as compared to my son when he will grow up. But he will have to when there's another immigrant who's competing him. So the immigrants keep the fire. Like, they come in, they are willing to work 20 hours. They will work difficult jobs. They will do the night shift. They will do the toughest part. That's how US has been working for hundreds of years. But one thing US or the systems or the institution like to admire in an immigrant, that he's also giving back to the society through volunteer work. Now, in a brief summary, understand, one thing I'm telling you that really makes your application stand out is a consistent effort to be involved in community work, which can include veterans, Air Force, opioid crisis, HIV problem, domestic violence, something regarding refugees, diversity, and there might be few more, but these are very hot topics or very soft topic to the American society. These are some real issues. And I can tell you one thing, I saw a international person, his immigration process got stuck. And I don't give immigration advice, just to let people know. So don't ask me questions later on, because this is a very difficult spot and I don't like to give wrong advice. But that person actually reached out to, and this was a Muslim friend I knew, he reached out to the local pastor in his town. And the local pastor wrote a letter that I know this gentleman in my town for the past 8 years or whatever years, and he's a good citizen. He does everything right. He's been a very decent person and a constructive person to our society. And that one letter, the immigration department actually pay heed, like they took it in consideration when making the decision. And that's when I realized, on an average, American person won't go to his pastor to get a letter. For them, it's something they see every day. They grew up. It's not the same thing. But for an immigrant, getting a letter from a non-profit or a recognized institution like a church, like Mission of Mercy, or any department like US Army, it makes a lot of sense. Is this making sense, guys, what I'm saying? Am I able to explain my point? So what I'm saying, for if I'm not able to explain, is work in a community, like non-volunteer, like volunteer work, like community work, because in our world, as immigrants in our home countries, we didn't take it as seriously, but as an immigrant or as a foreign trained dentist, they really want to see a heart. Are you here only to grab money, or you're actually willing to do something back for the society as well? And trust me, if you're an Indian or a Pakistani or an Iraqi and an immigrant comes to your country and he's only there for money, most probably you won't like him either. So there is a certain give and take they do want to see. So one of the things I'll encourage you guys is look for consistent volunteer work, because that is one of the things I feel. And my application, I will tell you in all honesty, I didn't had much dental assisting, but I had bunch of work with a lot of non-profits, because that's pretty much I was doing. So somebody is saying going to any church or other welfare house name. Doc, I'm not asking you to just go there. If you understand the idea what I'm saying. I'm saying look for volunteer work where you can consistently help areas like US Army, like people who are suffering from opioid crisis. You can help the firefighter department. You can help the US Army or war veterans. Because these are the things which are very close to the US society's heart. And when you serve these people, they like you or they prefer you. I'm not saying you to just go to a church or welfare center. I'm saying look for opportunities wherever you live and find these kind of areas if you can help. Does that make sense? All right. Yeah, this was a point I wanted to talk about. So any other question, guys? Anybody wants to unmute and ask a question? Okay. Adriel, sir, do you help review? Yes, Doc, I do try to review Caapid profiles depending on my availability. Depending on my availability. When I have the time, I will love to do it. The only problem is I don't like to charge on this thing. And the problem is you can unmute and tell me your profile and I can guide you right now. That might be the most fastest way. Okay, up to you, Doc. All right. So the next question somebody said is, hi, Dr. Adriel. Although my GPA appears to be low at first glance, below 3, it is considered to be quite normal academics. Yeah, in fact, high GPA in my graduation was. Yeah, you should apply. So, Doc, I'm not going to pronounce your name right, but I have a lot of friends from Syria, and whenever they do EC evaluation, the GPA is very low. And even American schools know that there are certain countries where GPA is not given too high. And I would say that shouldn't stop you. And here's the thing, your criteria of GPA might be low, but if your TOEFL is good and your other stuff is good, then it compensates for it. That's the whole point. That's what I was saying to Dr. Kapoor in the start, that it's a holistic process. You look at things in a 3-dimensional manner. So yeah, maybe your GPA from your home country is a little bit lower, but if the rest of the things you've done are actually more credible and good, that compensates for it, including TOEFL. One of the things I'll tell, coming back to TOEFL, is that TOEFL is a standard test for everybody. INBD and TOEFL is something standard for everybody. The problem with INBD is just pass and fail. TOEFL is where they see a number around you and they kind of see like how good you've done. Is research experience important? Yes, it can help you a lot. I never did it. I got accepted. But yes, research work in a credible place shows it does have some significance. But again, I did not do any and I still got accepted to 4 schools. So it's your call if you want to do it. I'm a prosthodontist. I wanted to apply to perio. Doc, I don't prepare people for pass. I know people like to ask me for postgrad perio residency. The only advice I can give you, if you want to apply, you can get accepted. The main thing is you need, if you're applying to perio, you need to figure out which place you want to go and shadow there. You want to create contact and then see if you want to apply. People think we will send our resume from India or Pakistan, and American universities in postgrad will say we want this person. Well, they don't give a crap in this sense because they have their local kids coming in there. They have the local DDS people applying. So if you're a foreign trained dentist and you want to apply, invest some time and effort and go and meet those residencies and spend your time before you want to apply. That's very important thing I'll tell you. So somebody's asking, do they prefer fresh grad with no experience? So obviously, if you were a person who's a dental school faculty or admission committee, you would want people with some experience. But that doesn't mean that they don't accept fresh grads. So when I got accepted in 2019, and I'm a graduate of 2013 from Pakistan. Most of my friends were a graduate or most of my class fellows were graduate of 2009 and 10. This year, they are accepting more 2018 graduate. They prefer people who have a little bit more experience, but they also accept people who are fresh graduate as long as you have good TOEFL score, your application is good, you have done some good work, and your application and SOP is written good. 3.6 considered, Doc, yes, 3.6 out of 4 is considered good anywhere in the world. But again, now, and what I'm trying to convince you guys is GPA alone does not matter. GPA alone does not matter. Please kindly hear what I'm saying. I'm trying to convince you application is like a human body. Just because my one eye is big doesn't mean I have superpower. It's my whole body that matters, the whole system. All of my body, all of my system, my skeletal system, my immunity, my blood cell, all of those work together, then it makes a healthy system. In the same way, 3.6 GPA alone by itself doesn't mean anything. What will mean is when your TOEFL, your experience, your volunteer work, and your personal statement, all of them together will be good. Does that make sense? Okay. Doc, I have a GPA 4 done with INBD preparation for TOEFL and grade. What are the things? Doc, first get your TOEFL done. I don't have an answer, but first, I want everybody to understand building your Caapid application is like building a house. People come to me and I ask them, done with INBD? If yes, INBD and TOEFL score are the main pillar of your house. I'm not going to tell you what would your roof look like. You can watch a lot of my YouTube videos where I talk about volunteer work. I talk about giving hygiene exam in Florida. I talk about doing a master's. I talk about preceptorship. But to be honest, Doc, go figure out your TOEFL first. Like it's step by step. If you don't know how to crawl, please don't ask me how to run. I've told it in my videos, but I don't like, because 90% of people who does ask me, when I talk to them after 1 month, they are like, oh, I still got 90. I'm stuck. What should I do? And I told them, your brain has limited capacity, Doc. As a human being, your brain can only do certain tasks in a day. If you're thinking about future and you're worried about your past, you're not going to do anything good in the present. So stick to your present and finish the exam first. Those are the toughest part. One other thing I tell people, money can buy you a lot of things. If you're a green card holder, you can take loan. You're not super worried about finances. You can invest in getting a preceptorship. You can go and pay and get your hygiene license in Florida. You can attend some C courses. You can get some hands-on courses like Dr. Duggan or Dr. Stevenson or some other places at Pittsburgh, Temple University. Money can buy you these things, but money won't buy you TOEFL score. Please kindly understand the sequence of life. If somebody who hasn't done a BDS calls you from India or Middle East or Pakistan or Cuba and say, I want to do DDS, you'll say, go and finish your BDS first. Then it will make sense. Does that make sense?
But क्या हमारी limitation है?
Doc, are you talking to me or? Okay. So the next question, and if you guys want to unmute and speak, that would be like you guys can do that. So you think schools don't filter out application by number, they check out. Yeah, doc, schools, I don't know if you applied to Caapid, but they look at your citizenship, they look at your like race, they look at your SOP, they look at a lot of things. Some things I might not even know, like diversity, your volunteer work, your experience, your exams. They look at a lot of things. It's that's why most call it, if you don't know this, but they call it a holistic view. Like Colorado say, we do admission through a holistic view. In our countries, it's like if you got good scores, you are a good student. In US, it doesn't work that way. It's a holistic way of looking at things. All right. Does anybody wants to unmute and speak, because I get tired of reading and just talking to my own self? Yes, go ahead, Dr. Manisha. You can, by go ahead, I mean, Doc, you can unmute and say, Doc. Okay. The next question is, as you said,
Hello.
Yes, Doc.
Hi, Doctor. First of all, thank you so much for arranging this Zoom meeting. It's really insightful. So my question is, like I graduated long back 2005, and and I moved to Singapore. It's been 10 years now between Singapore and United States. I have been working as DA
Doc,
now.
From where did you?
Hello. Yeah. Hi. I graduated from India, Doctor.
Okay, yeah, you have to tell, otherwise I have a lot of friends, Manisha, from the call too.
Apologies for that. Yeah, so I graduated from India in 2005, and I practiced for 7 years. After that, I moved to Singapore and worked as a DA there for again 7 years. And I currently, it's been 4 years. I have been staying in the United States, and I'm working as a DA and front desk coordinator since then. My TOEFL is 106, and I'm volunteering also at library, teaching a Spanish woman teaching English to a Spanish woman. It's the only thing I would like to let you know is that I cleared my NBD in second attempt. So can that be a drawback? And also, if there is any advice.
It can be, but it should not stop you. I have one of my fellowship student, Mahat. He's in New York.
Right.
He got accepted to Columbia. He had a second attempt. I have somebody who had 3 attempts and got accepted. So yes, does it put you in a more? Here's one thing I tell people.
Right.
What I'm saying, Doc, one thing that I've learned over time, and I tell to people, that every difficulty comes for a reason, and you need to figure out how can you use it to your benefit. Now, if you failed once, but again you passed, let me finish. Let me finish. So once you figure it out, now how can I use this failure in my application and try to write that how this failure helped me? This is important, because in US, they don't mind failures. US love the movie Rocky. It's all about falling down and getting back up. The main point is, as a mature person, somebody who has family, who has gone through life, you will have failures. That's one of the questions they like in the interview. But one of the key thing is, you need to talk about that failure in a way that presents you as a positive person. That's the whole essence of telling your story. So when it comes to your personal statement, your interviews, in other aspect of your other things that you have done, you need to mention that this was one of the reason I got, like I know a candidate whose friend died during pregnancy and she could not pass the INBD. And things happen. Somebody's parents got sick, somebody got into an accident, somebody, like, weird things happen. But the main point is, you don't want to make it an excuse. You need to mention it somewhere in your personal statement that yes, failure happened, but how did that failure made you into a stronger candidate? And that thing really helps you. That's something they are looking for. You're mute, doc.
Yeah. Okay, understood. So yeah, I tried my best to express that in my SOP. Other than that, is there any other advice from you I can do to improve my profile?
Again, doc, where do you live?
California.
So if you go through my videos, I've been telling people a lot of different things. You can do preceptorships. UCLA have it. USC has it. You can go and take hygiene. You can take Florida hygiene license. You can do preceptorship. You can do preceptorship at Washington. You can go to take conferences, hands-on courses. Those kind of things help.
Got it. Yeah, sure. I will look into that. I'm actually have started the process for a few of things which you have mentioned. So let's see. Thank you so much, doctor. It was really helpful.
Sure thing. Sure. Let me open up and does anybody else want to ask a question? Meanwhile, so somebody wrote, as you said, there is less chances of Pakistani. When did I said Pakistanis have less chances to get accepted in Caapid? I never said that. I'm from Pakistan, doc. I got accepted every year. There's so many people from Pakistan. I just said they consider Indian and Pakistani student to be one thing. In their world, Indians and Pakistanis are coming from same area, and the TOEFL score needs to be better for Indians and Pakistani because both were British colony. I never said Pakistanis don't get accepted. I got accepted. There's so many Pakistani dentists right now in school everywhere. I just said that they need to have better score in TOEFL because both India, Pakistan were a British colony. So the level of English is higher. So the schools like to see better TOEFL. Does that make sense, doc, what I'm saying? I feel like I said somewhere something that was unclear, but then somebody wrote, then how do I approach research with no... Doc, you're asking from somebody who has never done research. So I personally don't know how you start a research, but the best way I can tell you is you find an academic university, you go to a school, you contact some faculty, you request them and look for opportunities where you can do research. That's how you do it. Now, if you want further detail, you should find people who are currently doing research and ask them. Because I never did it, so I can't tell you. But what I know, people who reach out to faculties, visited schools, and kept requesting like 100 people. Eventually, 1 or 2 people like offered them to work. Okay. Does anybody else want to unmute and ask a question? Okay. So the next question is, Doc, I have a GPA 4 done with INBD, preparing for TOEFL green card holder. What other things can I do? I have a GP. So Doc, I think I've already mentioned at this point, your TOEFL should be the best thing. Like that, the focus on the TOEFL, and once you give an exam, then you can do preceptorships, go for observerships, and do different things.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
About past residency. So basically, I just wanted to know that I got 96 in my TOEFL, and I want to apply in Harvard. So is it too late to apply for pass, or like the deadline is around some courses December?
What does the website say?
Yeah, it is asking for like above, for some they're asking for above 24. So yeah, that's the one thing. So but my
They
question is
are
it too
asking,
late to
Doc, if
yeah.
your TOEFL is not meeting the criteria, you say, am I hearing it wrong? But you said they want more score in one of the sections, right?
Yeah,
And you're
correct.
not
Yeah.
meeting. So what is your question? Being late or meeting the criteria?
Yeah. First question is being late. For instance, if
So,
I
Doc, how
try
can,
to
like,
retake the TOEFL.
I'm trying to understand. The point is, you're applying to Caapid or pass?
For pass, but I heard that it's on a rolling basis, so they just check on first
So,
come, first serve
couple of things
basis.
I'll tell you, Doc. I'm not an expert in pass. First of all, I mainly work with Caapid. The second thing is, if you're worried about time and if you're worried about TOEFL at the same time, it's not a good combination. One of the things, and I'm keeping myself away from the past right now. I'm just telling you about timelines and TOEFL, whether it's Caapid or not. If I was you, to be honest, I keep telling these people in the videos, I keep saying, don't tie yourself. Like, imagine if I'm learning to do an molar endo, I'm learning a wisdom tooth, and somebody comes back and put a timer on my head and say, in 30 minutes, finish the molar endo. You know what's going to happen? I'm going to most probably perforate that tooth, or I'm going to have an issue. So I don't know how your stress management skills are, but if you're running after time, you have a ticking time bomb, and then you're trying to overcome TOEFL, you're putting your body into a lot of stress. And
Yeah.
most of the time, what I've learned is that people don't get constructive result out of this situation. When I was in your situation, I wouldn't even worry about getting late or getting fast. What I would worry is I want to do TOEFL once because I want to keep my integrity. If I keep failing again and again, it's just my own inner self gets compromised. Like, once I fail, then my family member asks me, oh, I have to give TOEFL again. I have to give TOEFL again. It's just that edited failure again and again will keep creating a negative impact on your personality. What my suggestion, humble suggestion, and I could be wrong, is do not worry about time, conquer one thing at a time. Just learn how to do a good endo. Take 2 hours, take a little bit longer, but just try to learn to do it properly. Once you have done that, then worry about speeding up. That's my suggestion. If you want to go through a different route, it's up to you. And Joseph was saying the same thing. It takes some time. Please do not try to put a kid on steroid to make him big. In the same way, if your TOEFL requires more time, give it the time to grow, practice, and conquer it. Trust me, when you go through that journey, you will be, things will change. I can't explain to you. I'll give you guys one example. When I came to US for a master's, I quit my, so I'm going to tell you a story. I was like in my head living a overinflated life where I was 23 years old. I got it right after my graduation. I was the first one to get accepted to in my class. I passed my exam, the first one, fellowship exam, FCPS we call it. Got accepted to a oral and maxillofacial surgery. I got a government job right at that time. Then I applied for an American visa for my master's, and through Pakistan it takes a little bit longer, but I got that. So I thought, like, I was, whatever I'm going to touch is going to happen now, and it's going to happen right away. And then I came to US, and US grabbed me by the neck and put my face into the soil and asked me to bow down, like, humble yourself down. But I was in a rush. And trust me, for 2 years during that master's, I had only bare minimum to pay my fee. I had to do all the jobs that I could find. I had to, like, I was living in a different city, go to school 3 hours away. And I would even not think about that I can ever go to school. I like if dental school. For me, it was because Trump came, and that time I had no idea that I can ever go into a DDS. And a lot of my Pakistani friends will say, have you given INBD exam? You've been living in US for 2 years. And in my head, I couldn't even tell them that I don't have the $500 to pay for the national board exam, or I don't have the time to study for national board because I'm doing my master's, I'm working jobs, I hardly sleep, I'm always worried about my visa, and I couldn't. And for 2 years, it was a big shut up call on myself for thinking I will be the first one to do everything in my life. That's how I was. And then it really, like that 2 years, everything stopped for me. I was just doing enough to survive. And then eventually, and that was the time I actually grew somewhere like a little bit inside. Like I started, when your ego break down, you kind of like, okay, you understand there are your plans and then there's God's plan. And then all of a sudden, when I calmed down, I found a job, my visa got figured out, I got the time and the money to study. Everything started to change a little bit. I'm not saying you have to wait 2 years. I'm saying not to put a rope around your neck and tie yourself that I need to do it today. I need to do it in this year. Do it in a positive manner and do it right, but do not stress yourself so much that things will start working against you. I'm telling you that this process is very kind of taxing for most of us, and you will get accepted when it's the right time, but do not like burn out your nervous system. So if I was you, I would just sit down and focus on TOEFL. One thing, TOEFL. It might take me 3 months, might take me 3 weeks, it might take me 1 year. But my job as a human being in July 27, 2025, my only calling is to get good score in TOEFL. And once I've done that, I will say, thank you, God, and then I will move forward. And I think you will get accepted, and this will allow you not to overwhelm yourself, because it's like you're chasing 7 things at the same time, and most probably all 7 will run away from you. The feeling that you get from it, it's very nasty. Trust me, I've been there. I've tried all of these things. And out of my own experience, now I tell people, I've talked to coaches, even till date, I'm trying to do 3 things at a time. And they tell me, Adriel, don't be stupid. Create a list, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Don't get emotional. Don't listen to people. Don't get overwhelmed. Stick to your plans. And that's the same example I would give you, Doc. And I'm saying this out of my own experiences in a positive manner, and I hope it helps you.
Thank you for explaining in great detail. I have one more question to ask, please, that about the fellowship. Do you recommend taking fellowship in the meantime and add it in our CV? Like there are certain institutes that are offering, and I'm also a part of a fellowship at the moment. So this
How
is
long
my
is
last
it? Which
question.
fellowship do you want to take, and how long is it?
So currently the fellowship where I'm in, it's a short fellowship. It's with a professor of adjunct genetics in Stanford University. But I have also seen one more fellowship in digital dentistry. It's for 2 years.
Where?
Or it's in somewhere near, I think, near High Point University, something like
You need
this.
to be, here's the thing, everything costs money. Understand, these are all businesses, right? And
Right.
everything costs money, right? And
Yok kız ne soracağım öyle kapılıyorum ne konuşuyorum.
I'm trying to mute. Okay. So one thing I'll tell you, do it. Fellowship are not a bad idea. Preceptorship is not a bad idea. Observerships are not bad idea. But have some proper research. Couple of things I would suggest. If you're going to do something like, I did a video with Ashan Yuja. He did like a fellowship at Pittsburgh. It's 2 years, but they let you do perio work hands-on. So if you're willing to do something, do some homework, and sometimes location might be difficult, but you want to do which is worth the while and worth the money. You don't want to spend your time into something that later on is not going to help you. And you might have thought, if I would have spent 2,000 more, I would have gotten a dental fellowship or a dental experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you're
So,
right. Got
so
it.
measure these. Like sometimes you have to pay for things, but a wise person will do their research in the market and know what's available to me. And there is a difference in price and value. Something might be $5 for me and I don't want to buy because it's worthless. And something might be 5,000 for me, but the value of that thing in my life is 20,000. And I'm willing to pay that 5,000. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
calculate things in that way and spend some time in researching. Being
Okay.
being being naive in a capitalist market is everybody trying to sell you something. So you want to be careful with that. All right.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so
So,
much.
all right. Anybody else want to unmute and ask?
Hello, Dr. Adriel.
Yes.
I'm a 2023 BDS graduate and I moved to US right away for my master's and I have completed my master's in this May. I have cleared the INBD and my score for the TOEFL is 98, which I received yesterday. And I've been working as a dental assistant for the past 3 months. My volunteering experience is very limited. Should I apply to the schools that still accepting the applications
I
or should I
wouldn't.
wait
I
for
would
job
not.
cycle
I'm
in
gonna
one?
be. This sounds a little bit more cynical, but to be honest, Doc, you're a fresh. You're too fresh.
Yeah.
Your experience is 3 months. Your TOEFL fresh student. Are there any more fresh graduates up here? You can raise your hand or something. But to all of you guys, if you're fresh graduate, kindly get good academic score. One thing they taught me, like when I was applying to oral surgery residency, the government universities have the most patients, right, in surgery. That's where all the patients go, government hospital. And I got into a private and I went to a surgeon. I said, I wanted to go to a government so I can do more hands on. He said, here's the thing, if you're not getting clinical enough experience, do more research and do more academic stuff to compensate for it. That's how you compensate for your competency. But if you're fresh, you don't have much clinical like competency right now, plus your academic score is not good enough, then you're no better. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but understand, I was never somebody who gets very high. I'm not an academician. I will study, but when it comes to like doing real life stuff like surgery and stuff, I would stand 18 hours. So if you don't have that clinical hours, then have good score. If you don't have good score, then spend it in clinical hours. But if you don't have any of them, then you need to go and do the hard work, right? Because otherwise you're going to spend your money and it's not going to bring you anything. And do not rush. Again, this is not as easy. I don't want to stop people. People will get accepted. The point is, this is a strategy game. You don't go one day and just go into a war. You want to prepare your backup. You want to have finances. You need to have good TOEFL score. And you do one thing at a time. The problem with most people is they are trying to eat 7 things in one time. Give me 1 second, guys. So don't try to do a lot in one go and then burn yourself out. I would rather be slow but strategic. Does that make sense, Doc?
Yes, doctor. Should I continue dental assisting for a little more period or?
Yes. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So, yes. So, Doc, usually in Caapid, the schools prefer about 1 year of 1 year of dental assisting, mostly, or at least like more than 8-9 months, close to a year. So if you just started for 3 months, and what I'm trying to convince you, doc, you're fresh.
Mhm.
You're fresh
Yeah.
in pretty much everything. So you need to
Mhm.
spend some time to build something up.
Okay.
I know this is not the thing that you want to hear because you just came out of school, you want to get in really fast. But doc, when I went to open house in with UIC, somebody asked like, "Don't you prefer? Do you have an issue with fresh grad?" And the coordinator, admission coordinator, she said, "You need
Mhm.
to understand there are people who have been applying for 5 years, who are graduated of graduation, had a graduation of 15, 16, have been working for a lot of years, have been applying every year and getting rejected. Obviously, they will be given a preference over you. It's just how it is."
Mhm.
Plus, one other thing I tell you, on average, an American person who get accepted to graduates from dental school is 28 to 27 years old, at least. At least.
Mhm.
So why would they want a foreign trained graduate who's 25 to graduate really early? Because this will make their economy like, why would they want immigrants to come in young, become doctor, and make more money than their local kids? And then their life become easy when people have gone through experiences. The schools like
Mhm.
them because these people are already molded. They are broken down by the system. So it's just the process. I did not created it. I had to go through my thing. People have fresh graduates do get accepted, but again, doc, if you're not good, if you don't have clinical experience, you want to build up the academic side. So you have to be good at something to show yourself. It's doc, this is 1700 people are applying throughout the world. And trust me, the smartest and the thickest skin of every country, like the people who are the best in their game, are the one who are coming to compete here. So you're
Mhm.
competing against some really like heavyweights up here. And it takes some time to build yourself up to be in this competition. I
So I need to be like getting more in TOEFL. So I'll retake my TOEFL exam and get good at the academic.
so
And
doc,
my GPA is around like 3.75.
you
So
GPA doesn't matter. GPA, forget
okay.
that about. Don't worry about it. TOEFL is your
Mhm.
number one thing. You need to have very good TOEFL. And I would
Yeah,
spend
sure.
more time. And then you build up on your dental assisting. Then you take some
Yeah.
preceptorships or something like that. You need to build yourself up, dog. This is, if I unmute people up here, people I know, you won't even believe the amount of experiences they have, and they are still applying. Some of them got interviews and got rejected. They are, so it's like, this is, you would hear a lot of different stories up here. So you need to understand that this is, you're welcome to the big boy club. This is a little bit tough process. You will get accepted. I'm going to tell you,
Mhm.
you will get accepted. It's just going to take some more power out of you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, though.
Sure thing. All right. So what other questions do you guys have? All right. Continuing education, it depends on how much money you have, Dr. Sally, because if you have the money there, if you don't have money, you can get free Colgate CE courses. You can go to universities nearby. They do, like Ohio State does their own CE courses. Temple University would have their own. Pittsburgh would have their own. So pretty much, if you Google research is the world's easiest thing. You will find things everywhere. So somebody is saying how much weightage is given to a lot. If you're not good at bench exam, you won't get accepted. I'm just saying this. I've had very bad experience of people who got 3 invites, but their bench exam skill wasn't good enough, and they got rejected by all three of them. When it comes to bench exam, you have to be good. There's no other way around it. You have, because people who are applying have been practicing on bench exam for years and years and years, like 3 years, 4 years. So they can do class twos on maxillary molars with their eyes closed. So you have to be very good. And with bench exam, they check you with millimeters. It's like a mathematical exam. Either you're good or you're not good. There's no middle ground at it. And the only way to get good at it is just practice. The number of hours. The more hours you have spent, the better you will get. Okay, I am a graduate from Pakistan with a GPA of 3.9, INBD cleared, TOEFL. Doc, the same thing I said to the other gentleman is that your TOEFL needs to be improved. I think okay, I'm a graduate. Same question. Hi, Doc, I have a TOEFL. Somebody is asking if 92 is a good TOEFL to apply. Doc, I think you should improve. Do universities need approval of our work experience that we have done in our countries? What do you mean approval? They would look at your certificate. They do want some letter of recommendations from back home. I have a master's in health informatics from US. Is that going to be oh no, that's a positive. Doc, okay. A lot of you guys don't know, but I did a master's in health administration. And I think one of the key things that really helped me get accepted back in 2019 was I had this master's. The only problem with freaking masters is they are 2 years long. They are about $60,000-$70,000 of money. So it's a lot of time and money that you're spending. But yeah, schools love them. It's not a negative. It's actually a positive thing that the school love to see. Does AI generated personal statement exclude me from? Dr. Sally, can you unmute or kick? I don't know who suggested you to use AI, but stay away from that. I don't know where are these, like who suggested you, but don't use AI. Don't. Just stay, don't try to just keep things simple. Just work on your profile. And again, I would suggest if you have time, there's so many videos I made regarding this information, but do not try to use AI on your SOPs. It's just not a good idea right now. Okay, next question is, I'm a green card holder. I'm graduated from Pakistan. Why? I don't know why the same question keeps coming up. Okay, I'm a graduate in 2011 and completed my PG in orthodontics 2020. I have an MBA. That's good. My TOEFL is 101. So, Dr. Swati, that's a good thing. If you could improve your TOEFL, that will help you. If you could do more, what visa do you have, Dr. Swati?
Hi, hello, doctor. I'm on F1 visa.
Okay, if you have the finances, number one, if you could, you have a good profile. Here's the first thing I'm going to give it to you. Good profile. You've been working hard.
Thank you.
If you could do more preceptorships and stuff, if you could do some kind of dental assisting, shadowing, more clinical things in US, that will help you. If you get the opportunity to visit a school and do some observership in ortho department and GP department, and that would help you. So you need to do more clinical things, even if it's not hands-on, but being in there, that will help. And TOEFL score.
And I'm having 2.5 years of dental assisting experience in US also.
Okay, then apply.
But I don't know, I didn't get any interview call, so
how many schools did you apply? How many schools did you?
12.
Well, next time before you apply, just let me see your personal statement. Now, I'm not going to make you feel bad. The gun is already out of the bullet. I don't know how to fix the past, but the only thing is next time you're applying, just let me see your personal statement, because I think you do have a good thing overall. And some people might be thinking, when I look at her profile, I feel like she's done some hard work and that's a good profile. The only other thing, Doc, I will say TOEFL, If you could improve, your letter of recommendations would matter. The way you write your personal statement and stuff would matter too.
Okay.
Is there
Okay, sir.
any
Thank
way? Sure, if we can request schools to increase the number of who's yeah,
you. Thank you.
79 is asking, Dr. 79 is asking, is there any way we can request schools to increase number of seats? Because all of us are so capable and deserve a chance, and unfortunately, yeah, I think that would be a good thing. Yeah, you can try, Doc, and also ask Trump to keep don't use ICE, keep the ICE away from immigrants and make their visa a little bit less and make the student loan easy too. Doc, it's a business. I'm just letting you know everything is a business. They control the number of dentists who graduate every year, because if dental chairs are more, there will be more dentists, and then dentists won't make enough money. So there are lobbies in US, whether for dentists, whether for barbers, whether for physicians, for lawyers in every state. It's not that simple. This is I wish the world was as nice as it could be, but these are money hungry big businesses who control things in a very calculated way. So there are always poor people who need dental care, okay, and there are less number of dentists. I so yeah, it doesn't. I wish it would have worked that way, but uh, yeah, if we ask them this, they might ask us, why don't you go back home and serve the poor people in Pakistan and take care of them? But by the end of the day, you will make a lot of money as a dentist, and they are making a lot of money. This is all pretty much regulated by a business. Is preceptorship mandatory for admission? Well, Doc, it's not mandatory, but recently I've seen that it is one easier way to lift up your application. Like you can improve your application or your profile using it. All right. The next question somebody asked is, I'm an endodontist from India. Guys, can you unmute and ask questions too? It's just I get bored talking to my own self. But I'm an endodontist from India with 12 years of academic and clinical experience. I'm on visitor visa. I've cleared no US experience. Is the right time. Again, Doc, TOEFL score. I would, you can apply. It's up to you. But number one thing is your TOEFL score. Most Indians are scoring above 100. It's very competitive. India has a good, they are good in English and like a lot of people. So one thing would be that, and you would want to get more US experience, try to go and do observership, try to attend some conferences, try to build some contacts so you can apply and get admission. From where one
Doctor?
can, well, yes, Doc.
Yes. So I had a question. So during the interviews of the school, do they ask you about each and every question about your resume, or do they ask like general questions like why
Talking
dentistry or
about
why
what
US
you're
or
talking about interviews.
yes.
So, Doc, for that, I made a playlist over time, and I've mentioned like it's mostly about you. They want to see you as a person. Imagine they've already read the paperwork about you. They've seen when did you pass, when did you fail, what's your score, all that paperwork, blah, blah. But mainly your interview is going to be around tell me about yourself, your strength, your weakness, what kind of a person you are, tell us about leadership role, tell us how do you manage failure, tell us how you do manage stress. They will ask you questions like why should we pick you as a candidate, tell us why do you want to come to our school. So mainly your questions will be regarding around your personality to see what kind of a person you are.
So it's highly unlikely that they'll go into the minute details
Well, if
of
you
like, for
take
example,
them,
this volunteer work.
no, here's the thing. Understand that interview is not an exam. It's a free flowing conversation. I give a very silly example, but to most people there it really makes sense because that's how human brain works. Imagine if you're on an app like Tinder and somebody swipes you right, and now you're going for a coffee with them. On the coffee, the
Yes.
conversation is to try to figure out what kind of a human being this is, and the conversation will go wherever you take it. So when I train
Okay.
people for interviews, I tell them your conversation will flow towards the thing where you want to. If you want to talk more about your clinical things, they will end up going towards that. If you want to talk more about your volunteer work, your conversations will go through that. And there's a technical way of creating stories towards the thing where you want to. But
Okay.
it's kind of like it's a free flowing conversation. There's no bars to it. The main thing it has is you. It can go around. You want to talk about your personal life where you had a accident or a health issue. You can talk about your back home experience. You can talk about your experience in the US. So it's pretty much more free flowing. But by the end of the day, most people don't understand the fact that you're the one who's controlling the interview by
Okay.
taking the conversations or giving them the stories where you're leading them.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. All right. I have a bachelor degree from Cairo University. I'm a citizen, 3 months of Endor, 3 months of Endor residency, 1.5 year of work, 7 months of DA with a DA. You can apply, doc. It's not a bad profile. Just write a good profile, Dr. Yab, and apply if you want to. I would say, like, if you guys start preparing for your TOEFL, like, start preparing for Colorado, because Colorado is going to open up in September. You want to start preparing your application for that. Hello, doctor. My BDS is from India. In 2010, I had my own practice for 3 years. After coming to MPH and working for public health for 7 years. That's good. Since the last 2 years, I've been doing DA job, GPA this, TOEFL this. I receive invite, TOEFL in Boston, live in Massachusetts. Doc, you have a pretty good profile. I personally think your SOP and your application should be done properly. And if you're getting invites, prepare for the interview well. I don't know if you reach out to me or not, but take professional help at this point. If all your base ground work have been done so well, and from what I'm reading, you're not a fresh graduate. You're somebody who graduated years ago in 2010. Understand, doc, money you can recover. Time we can't. I would say I would be falling into your age group as well. The point is, every year that you're not becoming a dentist, you're not making that $300,000. So if you have done all the hard work, you have worked in for 7 years, you've done clinical work, you've done the TOEFL, spend that money where it's needed, and like make sure you don't leave any door unopened, because you're almost there. In your case, go all in, because for you, time matters. You want to get in school as early as possible, graduate and retire as soon as possible with money and enjoy your family's life. That's one of the key thing in dentistry in US. It's physically so freaking taxing. It's like being a fast bowler or being a football player, that every year you age 3 years because physically you're doing so much work and it's taxing. So my advice to people is like, you can get the money back, but the time is of the highest essence, especially for somebody with your resume. So whatever you get, invest what's needed. Make sure you go all in. All right, Dr. Joshi. All right.
Thank you, Doc.
Sure. Yeah, doc. Don't leave anything with your profile. Invest what you have to, but I'm just saying, don't leave any door unopened or any. You need to keep a foolproof, because there's not more you can improve in your profile now, right? You've done it all. You worked, you did a master's, you did the TOEFL. All you need to do is just put the pieces in the right way so they look at it and get you in school. Okay. Anybody else want to unmute and ask any questions? Dr. Sile is saying, I have 3 interviews at school. Again, doc, If you got one, okay, understand this. And you might feel like I'm trying to sell myself, but understand the fact you can go somewhere else. People who got invite, and first of all, if you have severe financial issues, and watch free YouTube video, guys. I've been trying my best, my level best over the past 5 years to make especially interview videos. There's a whole playlist. I don't know if YouTube algorithm doesn't show you or anything, but those free videos, I have so many people who watch it and get accepted. Now, if you're getting multiple invites, invest in professional help. Imagine if, and you can go to anybody you like. I'm not saying you have to come to me. The point is, if you pay $600 for personal interview preparation and you get 4 invite or 3 invite, each interview it becomes 200 for you. But that one preparation, if it gets you that invite, like, understand, every year you're not getting in, it's a risk of $300,000. If you're almost at the footstep, you're getting invite, invest and make sure you go in. All you need, you're like standing at the door, at the step of the door. Somebody just needs to give you a big push so you go in. So my suggestion is, if you have severe financial constraint, watch YouTube videos. That's the best I can tell you. If you can, if you're a little bit more eager, if I was you, invest in getting professional help. That will help you a lot in your case. You need help with the SOP and resume, Doc. You can reach out to me later and I can let you know the charges for SOP and the resume, and we can work on that. What other questions you guys have? Does anybody wants to God, I've been speaking to myself like crazy. I feel like a mad person. Does anybody wants to unmute and have any question?
Hello, Doc. From where we can find volunteering opportunity, like in US
Google.
Army?
Google. You need to get good at researching at Google, because every location, area, geographical place in US is different. So you need to get good at reaching out, looking, like it all is on Google. That's the best resource right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Does anybody else want to ask any question? Okay.
I have one question.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I have one question regarding if somebody studies about AI and healthcare, something not completely related to the dentistry, but in the meantime, because I think we are bored of studying the same things. So some like dental robotics or AI and like digital dentistry, something like this. What is your advice about it?
So, Doc, I did a master's in health administration, which wasn't about dentistry. It was administrative. It was like an MBA. So,
Right.
as long as it's a recognized educational institution, it's fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So somebody is asking, what is supplemental application and how would it affect our application greatly? Can anybody unmute and answer this, please, for me? Anybody who has applied this year, what is supplemental application and how it affects our application? Can anybody help me out? Guys, okay.
So I feel like, I
Go
feel
ahead,
like
go
when
ahead.
we apply for the admission in any university, like on ADA Caapid, then the same university sometimes email you for additional supplemental fee, and they ask you to customize your CV according to their needs and any additional information they may need. Sometimes they may ask you to upload any additional reference and changes in your CV according customized to their needs. So that's what I feel like could be the
Yeah,
answer.
you're kind of right. The supplement, then thanks for letting us know. But supplemental application, just as she said, when you apply to schools like Boston or Colorado, they will have their own questions. Colorado will say, what was a weakness in your program in the previous education? or what was the strength, or they would want a separate like SOP. The main point is, doc, when you will apply to Caapid, those questions are mandatory and it will affect, because if you can't apply if you have not filled it. So by the end of the day, your supplemental application is mandatory. You have to do it. Okay. Somebody was asking, yes, doc, I do prepare for personal interview preparation. That's pretty much my primary work that I do. And the way I work with people, and this month I had more than 20 people I prepared. What I do is I send them a 3 hour of recorded video that goes through personality related questions, ethical scenarios. It talks about conflict based questions, like question like if your friend was cheating in an exam, or what is the difference in dentistry back home and in US, and a lot of these generic questions. So you watch that 3 hour video. It's not on YouTube. It's something I share. You watch that, then I read your personal statement and your resume, and I do a one-on-one interview with you. In that, I ask you questions like, tell me about yourself. And when you will answer me, I will become you and I will rephrase your answer back to you. And it's recorded on Zoom, so you can go back and watch it later on with that. And you can watch that recording, you can write down your answers, and I go through questions like, tell me about yourself, your strength, your weakness, leadership role, teamwork, how do you manage stress, how do you manage failure, what's your long-term plan, why do you want to come to UAB or Colorado or Boston or whatever. But the way I prepare you, doc, you should not only be prepared for one school, you should be prepared to answer 98% of any dentist school interviews. That's how I try to prepare you. And for this whole process, I charge $600. And later on, if you get another invite, you can always text me and I can send you some advice if you get another interview as well. But if you do, you can always text me later on and I can guide you on that. But except for that, I also do provide written services. I have a fellowship program that I work with people throughout the application. Like I help them write their personal statement, resume, emailing school, filling in Caapid application, helping with supplemental application, preparing them for interview, Casper, Kira, everything except for physical bench exam. I don't prepare people for bench exam. For that, I can guide you where to go. And it's a little bit expensive program for the fellowship because I filter out people. I work with only specific people. I look at your profile, and later on, the point is, I work with you until you get accepted. So whether it takes you 3 months or God forbid 3 years, whatever time it would take, I will continue to work with you as a coach until you get accepted. Okay. So somebody,
Doctor, I have a question.
sure.
Yes. So I have a question that, for example, if I'm a fresh graduate and I've got an interview invite, and at this stage, and if I'm competing with someone who has, for example, a master's of or an FCPS, but at this stage, at the interview, does everyone have an equal chance who has been invited, or do they have like specific, for
Where
example,
did you
marks?
graduated from?
Pakistan,
What year?
2023.
And what did you do after that?
Right after my house job, I came to Canada,
Mhm.
gave the licensing exam, was doing dental assistant from the past year, and this year I was going to give the ADAT, but I got an interview invite.
From
So basically,
from
just like exams
from
and
from where?
from where what? Sorry,
Interview invite from where?
Minnesota, and I got a bench invite from Loma Linda.
So here's the thing, doc. Remember, when it comes to interviews, they are looking for diversity. They are not looking,
Yes.
all the people are master holders, all the people are specialists, all the people are GPs, all the people are older graduate. I've got in my class of 40 people in Colorado, there were people who were majority were 36, 37 years old, but then there were two or like 3 to 4 people who were like in their 50s, and then there were 2 or 3 who were like 24, 25 years old as well. The point is,
Yes.
you need to interview is like a first date where you have to convince them that I am a hardworking student, and you don't say I'm a
Yes.
hardworking. You have to tell them with your stories or your experience or your childhood or the work that you have done in Canada in a way that shows that you're a hardworking person, you're malleable and flexible. You are flexible. The biggest thing about fresh or young people is fresh blood is willing to work harder and be more flexible as compared to somebody who's 40 years old and have done multiple things. They are not as flexible as other people because they have kids, they have family, their body is scarred, they are like now dealing with 100 other things in their life. So on the table, you're bringing in that you're a hardworking person, you're fresh comparatively, like you're malleable, like you can learn, adaptable. And the third thing is you're a good team player. Their problem with a lot of fresh people who come to US, Canada is that their head is still living in Pakistan or India. they
Yes.
they think that the world is still like they haven't understand or assimilated to the American society. Here you don't say please to your freaking dental assistant, you will get kicked out of a residency. You have to treat your staff
Yes.
very carefully. You need to understand diversity. So there are a lot of other aspects that they are looking at when it comes to your teamwork, culture sensitivity, and your communication. The point is, somebody,
Yes.
if they've given you an invite, it means they like your paperwork. It means they
Yes.
like your paperwork, but it doesn't mean they like you. Now you have to make
Yes.
convincing story or an interview. When you speak, they should like you. I tell this is
Yes.
one of the most blasphemous thing that I teach people, and someday I will get in trouble. But I tell people, interview is a theater. It's not, nobody can actually know who you are in 20 minutes. Nobody can know who Adriel is in 20 minutes. How can you? Right? The point is, you are on a in front of a theater acting for 20 minutes in a way that what they like to see. You and the problem that people, I try to tell people that Americans and America only see people through the lens of Netflix. I had somebody who was from Palestine, uh, from the west side of it, and she was amazing story. She grew up in Palestine and she did her after dentist school, did masters in Israel. So she was amongst the very few people who got an opportunity to go to Hebrew University for a master's. And I thought this was like one in a rare story where she could go across the border every day, go through checkpoint to get her education from the other side of the post. And the point is, you need to figure out in your own story. And now I told her, if we try to explain everything to them in the interview, they won't understand. So we have to explain things to the faculty or the admission committee in a way that they can understand. If you tell them I play cricket, they won't understand. But if you say there's a sports just like baseball and I've been a player of that for 10 years, their brain will understand. So these are very small things in which you have to create your stories that they can understand and relate to you. A lot of time I will tell people, ask people, tell me about what's the most stressful time, and they say, well, the visa issue has been very stressful. And I'm like, they don't care. If you're from Pakistan and I ask you, do you know how hard it is to get the work permit of Pakistan? You'll say, I don't know. I was born with the national card, right? I never know. I never went to that department. In the same way, I'm
Yes.
bred and like somebody who was born and bred in US, he he would never understand how the work permit works or how the visa and the green card. So if you start explaining that to them, you just lost them. They can't relate to you. So you need to come
Yes.
up with stories of your life that are relatable and that makes you look like a person that is teachable. The other thing I tell people, it's a theater because there's a research backed fact. People who are extrovert and good looking get more opportunities on interview. Now, It's not a social media that you will wear weird clothes and get accepted. The point is your background, your overall lighting, your appearance, everything matter. I've sat in interviews where people had clothes hanging in their back. And I'm not trying to sound cynical, but understand, you, even before I speak, you will relate. It's called a halo effect. It's in psychology. People, if you walk around with rich people, people will think you're rich. If you sit around with intellectual people, people will think you're intellectual. If you're sitting in a room with a good, positive background, people will think you're a positive person too. And these are very small things, but it matters a lot. And I would invest
Yes.
on lighting, camera, and you might say, Doc, I don't have enough money. Buy it off Amazon and just return it later on. And I'm saying this on recording, but if that gets the job done, get it done. So number one,
Yes.
the presentation will matter a lot. Number third thing I was going to say, interviews have a favoritism bias. When I said people who are good looking and people who are an extrovert get an advantage, because you remember when we were kids, all of us, you would remember, the cutest kid in the class will never get punished, and then the guy who's
Yes.
not even like doing anything will get slapped on the face because he looked like a naughty kid. The point is, interviews have every human being, you, me, everybody is sitting there. We all have favoritisms. During interviews, if people like you in the first 7 to 10 seconds, they will make the questions easy for you. They would want you to
Yes.
get accepted so they can work with you for the next 2 years. And this is a professional bias everywhere. When you hire people as a dental assistant, when you work with them, there is a bias everywhere. Now, on the other hand, there is an opposite bias too. If I don't freaking like you and you think you're very smart, well, you're not getting accepted. So you need to create your stories and your answers in a way that puts you into in a positive light with them. They should like you and they would want to work with you. The other thing, since you talked, a lot of people who are going for UMNN interview, I know there are more people in the group who kind of had that Q&A session, and they asked me, what question should I ask? Listen to the presentation, what they're going to give you. They will say something that will create natural curiosity in your brain, and ask questions from there. Do not try to script yourself. The other thing is, imagine we are in a group right now, right? 50 people, 44 people. When I was in your place, it was COVID, everything was on Zoom. There were about 50 people that USC, when I was giving an interview, called us on Zoom. And I tell this story. Corey is the person who's their admission coordinator. And what happened when Corey ended the Zoom call, 40 or 50 people, out of them, one said, thank you, Corey. And then another person said, thank you, Corey, thank you, Corey. And I was just sitting and I was listening and I was wondering, does these people know that Corey doesn't even remember who is saying thank you? Like, you're just making noise. What happens, a lot of us foreign trained dentists, we see one person doing it and then we all start acting that way. So in your interview, yes, you need to be polite, you need to be like respectful, you need to know your question, but do not act like a desperate person who's just doing things because everybody else is doing it too. Please don't do that, guys. Have like, be intelligent. Like, people start praising Corey or like whoever or Toby, like they are like the god of the temple. They are not. They are just college graduate people who got a job and work as an admission coordinator. Be professional, be nice, but don't start treating people like gods. It makes you look like a very, very, very desperate person. And one of the things that forced me make a YouTube channel was, I felt when I was a dental student, the offices won't reply me. They would treat me as crap. And I used to get like one of the schools said, I had an interview and they emailed me 2 days ago. We have not received your transcript from your MHA, which I did in Maryland, and we have not received it. And if you don't deliver it by tomorrow, your interview is cancelled. In my head, I was like, who the hell are you? Like, I've been working in US I've been living in for 4 years. I've been working here for 2 years. If a document is missing, just ask me to provide it. Why the hell you're acting like a bloody Hitler? Like, I emailed my school, Maryland. I emailed them, Mount St. Mary's. I emailed the registrar, who was a professor. Listen, I'm getting an interview from the dentist school, but this dentist school is saying they have not received the transcript that I've requested. And if you don't provide it by tomorrow, I'm going to lose my chance of pursuing my dentistry in US. So kindly please help me out. And they did. But I felt violated by my integrity that they can treat me like this. And later on, I realized it's not that they want to treat us like this, it's because we let them do it. We act so bloody desperate in front of them, in front of the admission committee and office, that then they're like, oh, these are like 2,000 people dying to come here, and they're like, please, sorry, thank you, and don't know how to communicate. And then we get treated very bad. So, one of the things I tell people, you will get accepted. You need to work hard. You need to have good TOEFL. You need to pass your exam, but you need to have some integrity in the system too. Overall, you are a doctor. Act like a doctor, talk like a doctor, and walk like a doctor. It's one of the key things. And even in my dental world, like in the clinic, I get pissed off when managers tell me how to do things. It triggers me. Like, who the hell are you? Like, to and it's fine. There are some managers, I love them. They teach me a lot of things. But if somebody tries to teach me clinical things, I get pissed off. Like, that's not your world. I would get a beating from another doctor. I would love to learn, but I have my own integrity when it comes to my clinical world. And this is the key thing, especially people who are going in UMNN or other like this group setting. Don't come off like a freaking desperate immigrant dentist who doesn't have integrity, because trust me, you will see one or two cases like that. You are like just acting that way. But I hope this helps.
Thank you so much.
Sure. And okay. Anybody else want to unmute and ask a question before my throat dies on me?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Sally.
Thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I'm a graduate of Sudan in 2005. I had a GPA of 2.5 and a long clinical experience in my country. I worked as a teaching assistant there for a year, and I passed my National Board Dental Exam Part 2 in 2020 from one attempt. My TOEFL score is 94, and I have volunteered in a considerable American organization. I have a DA experience of almost 3 years, and in my country, I have started a dental public health master, but it stopped because of the situation there. How can I improve my profile? I applied.
Well, I'm going to briefly answer to you. The people who have done dental school like 10, 15 years ago, the biggest issue the schools kind of see is that this person has been away from academic world for a very long time. You are still in touch with the clinical world, but you never been going to schools since a while. And I'm not saying I have the solution. You can ask other people, but in my limited knowledge, I feel, and with the TOEFL being 94 score, they would like to see some kind of academic experience in US, some kind of research, fellowship, master's, percept, something academic you do in US. That will be very important. And if you could improve the TOEFL score, that would help you too.
And how about like having a hygiene license of Florida? Would that help me?
It will help you make more money, and with that money, you can do a master's in the evening. But you need to have some. It's not a bad thing. Hygiene helps you, but in your case, you haven't gone to an academic institution since a while. Now, how do you want to cover it up? I leave that to you.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Anybody else want to ask a question, guys? Okay, somebody from Iran. Okay, I gotta ask. I can't deny the Iranian person. They are my neighbors. Okay, so I'm Iranian. I'm graduated from Russia. I'm competing with. No, doc. In your case, it's different. There's you will be. I don't think you would be competing. Like overall, Ukrainian, Russians, Iranians are very few in number. So don't worry about it. You're not competing with much. Just work on your profile. Make sure your TOEFL. I know TOEFL is harder, especially if you're coming from these countries where English wasn't the first language. But just work on your profile. So I have a good number of Russian candidates who got accepted this year. Iranians, I've been working with few of them. So uh, don't worry, you're not competing with a big pool. Just make sure you try to get as best of the scores as you can. Okay, Dr. Minail, do you want to unmute or do I have to read a big paragraph?
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for the Zoom meeting. How are you? Um, so, like I think I talked to you before regarding my Caapid applications and my TOEFL scores, but I think because of this Zoom meeting, I came to know that I need to improve my TOEFL score for sure because the current score is 91, so at least I need to aim for like 100 plus. And also, like, I wanted to talk about the Caapid profile. Like, I've applied to 8 schools, and like, I have like 4 years of clinical experience. Pass out in 2016. My GPA is 3.8. Then I came to Canada. I was working as a pharmacy assistant for 1 year. Then I did my dental assistant licensing. I'm working as a dental assistant from past 1 year. I'm also, trying for this Canadian equivalency process. So, like, what advice you give me? Like, and also for the volunteer thing, like, I've done a lot of volunteer
What's
work in
your
India in the community.
what's your TOEFL?
91.
Yeah, that's holding you back though. Number one, that needs to
Okay.
be. If it was
Yeah,
90,
I realized that, listening to Mr. Joseph and everyone here in
96
the group.
was there, I would still, but 90, yeah, that needs to be taken care. After that, if you keep doing some academic, like attend some conferences, do some preceptorship, and then improve your personal statement and your like kind of like that should increase your chances. These days, a lot of schools like Pittsburgh, Temple are doing bench exam preparation thing. You can attend those too. That might help as well.
Okay. And does like doing a C course in Canada will help because I'm doing like a lot of C courses. I'm
It
exploring that.
will,
Like
but doc,
recently I did
doc,
that.
doc, it's like again, if I put a flower on the roof of my house, would it matter? Yes. But if one of the pillars in your house is still not solid enough, the structure is not steady. So TOEFL will be
Yeah.
C is it's a small like putting salt on your food. It's not the main ingredient. That's
Got it, got it.
say can I become a bodybuilder with eating salt? You will say like you need to have some real protein first.
Right. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. All right. Anybody else want to unmute before my throat is gonna give up on me in a few, but
Doc, I have one question. Since the
yes.
deadlines of many schools have already passed, so can I apply to a Caapid in this cycle or should I wait for the next?
Start from Colorado. Colorado is starting from September. So start preparing for it and then you can apply to the other schools. Remember one thing is ending, the other thing is starting. Don't be in a rush.
Okay. So is this the right time to apply or
Doc, again, I'm saying
it
starting from
started
Colorado.
in
I'm saying
March?
Doc, if you heard what I said start from Colorado. Colorado's is coming. Now, if you want to apply to other school at this point of time, I'm nobody to stop you. I can just give general recommendation. My recommendation, if I said it right, I was start from Colorado. It's starting in September. They are opening. After that, prepare for the March and apply from there. But again,
All right.
if you want to apply, I am not the boss to tell anybody what. I can just give suggestion. If you want to apply to other schools and you have the money and you can afford to apply, go ahead and do it. There's no loss. The only loss you would have is of some money. If you can bear it, you're more than happy to apply.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Any other questions, guys? Is online MPH in person? Well, if you can afford to go in person, most MPH in persons can be like MHAs, MBAs can be in the evening. Some are hybrid. But if you can't find anything and you have to do online, then do the online. Okay.
Dr. William, do you think doing any certifications would be better for our application?
It's again, certifications are again like salt. They are like CE courses. If you say this is the one thing that's going to change my whole trajectory, it can add a color to it, but it's not the main thing that's going to get you. It's not the foundational things that will highlight you. But
Okay, thank
they
you.
are not bad. They are just an accessory thing you can add. All right, guys.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. One other piece of advice I'll give you guys. Guys, for one thing I'm going to tell you, and I've told a lot of my students, I've been doing this for 5 years. For me, this is kind of like I repeat the same thing now, is that this is a marathon. Do not kill yourself and your family and your friends and other people around you by acting in a haste. Have some patience and have strategy. You lose a lot of matches to win a tournament. Have wisdom in your life. Do not try to become an overachiever just to show your neighbor back home in Pakistan, India, or some uncle or auntie or cousin, see, I'm a doctor in US. Don't do that. I'm just saying a lot of friends, a lot of students told me, like, I have relatives who keep calling me and asking, when are you going to become a dentist? And I understand in a lot of cultures, families, there are people who are pressurizing you and all of that. But in a deep inside, I tell people, you will get in when you're supposed to get in. Just because you're acting in stress won't make things go fast. It will only make things worse. What you want to do, and this is a very good strategy, start writing down things. Create a map. Majority people I've seen who got accepted, they later on tell me that they had a diary, and I did it too. I used to work at a convenience store at that time, and at night I would grab one of the cardboard paper and I would create a map of, in 2000 this I would be doing this, after this, in this year I would have this or done this, and create a map for yourself. Okay, I want to get accepted, but in order to get there, my TOEFL should be 110. I should have a master's, or I should have a preceptorship, or I should have this, or I should have this, and I get accepted and I come out of school into this year by graduation. And create a map for yourself and try to follow one thing at a time. If I want to come to US, I need to apply to a visa from Pakistan. In order to apply a visa, I need to fill in a form and I need to have the bank statement. To get the bank statement, I need money. In order to get money, I have to sell something, right? So you break down those steps and you write them down and you accomplish one thing at a time, and try not to, especially to my colleagues who are females, who are mothers, who have other responsibilities, who have a lot of stress. You have to understand, just because and I get a lot of messages later at night when people get very stressed out and they start texting me at night. Understand that all you can do as a human being is just conquer one or two things in a day. And the key thing I've learned in life, I'm getting old now, I'm 34, I'm learning that what you have to do is figure out one thing that can produce you the most result. For example, if you're a dentist and you realize if you do one molar endo and you can produce $3,000 rather than doing 20 fillings, you'll say, Doc, I'm just going to learn one molar endo and complete my whole day with that. In the same way, strategically understand what can you do one thing that will make your profile overall better. If it's a TOEFL score, spend those 6 months, spend those hours, and improve that one score that's going to produce the most significant difference. Otherwise, you will be running for C courses, you will trying to do a master's, trying to get hygiene, like you're doing a lot, but nothing is getting done. That is one of the things I've learned from people who are very strategic, who are good planners, is that they will try to, they will know what to do, which will produce them the most result. So that's one of the things. The other thing, somebody asked, how do they contact me? Doc, in my WhatsApp group, it's my number. I'm going to share my WhatsApp number in the chat if you want to, but in the WhatsApp group, you can contact me from there as well. Yeah, the other thing I was going to tell you guys is, number one thing is stress management. You will get accepted when you will get accepted. There's a time appointed. I can tell you from working with a lot of people, eventually people who stay consistently do get accepted. It takes some time. The way US system is made, it will break you. The point that I've done couple of different stupid stuff in my life that has taught me, whenever I'm getting rejected, whenever I'm getting delay, it's not a failure, it's an opportunity to improve something in my own personality too. So if you're not professionally growing, grow personally. Be a little bit more self-aware. I talk to so many people and I try to judge myself too. Am I being cocky? Am I showing off? A lot of time I meet people and they talk a certain way, and then I meet their dad and I realize they are just copying their own dad. They don't have their own personality. Some people are trying to become dentists because they want to show or prove somebody else. And I know these things sound weird, but trust me, when your stress kicks on to you, all of these other part of your personalities will haunt you. And what will happen, you will become a DDS, but your own families don't want to pick up your phone. And I'm telling you, with a lot of failures, with a lot of accomplishment, eventually you will get there. It's a marathon, but do work on your personality too. We are in the business of healing, and you can't heal anyone when you're broken from your own self too. And it's a process. I have to work on myself every day too. I have to control my own demons too. It's something that we all deal at every day, and US system are stressful. So one of the things I'll tell you guys is take it easy, have a plan, work, but do not overwhelm yourself. Be wise with the system. Otherwise, this system will beat you down pretty bad. And I've been there. So I hope this video helps you. I'll put this recording by the end of the night on YouTube. If you have any questions, you can message me on the WhatsApp group or WhatsApp, and hopefully I'll see you in another session next month. All right. Take care.